Welcome back to Becoming. My name is Nick Slater, joined by my lovely co-host and girlfriend, Zoe Markel.
Hello.
Today, we are talking...
You've been waiting to do that, haven't you?
But before you click away, we're not talking spreadsheets, stocks, or budgets. We're focusing on the energetics of money and how cultivating an aligned and positive relationship with it will create space for more of it to come into your life.
We like that.
It's like becoming best friends with your money.
It's like creating a happy little throuple.
Yeah, but just to be clear, this is not financial advice.
Yeah, we've got to cover ourselves here. You don't want to take financial advice from us.
But money mindset, that's something we can talk to because we're both in the work. And it's been interesting to explore because culturally, it's more taboo to talk about finances in England, right?
Yeah, in England growing up, you'd never ask your friends or your colleagues what they were earning. It was almost seen as rude. So it's still definitely a bit of a taboo subject for me to open up and talk about. But
everyone's so polite over there.
Yeah.
Do you think that had a positive or negative impact on people's mindsets?
Yeah, I guess in a way you probably wouldn't open up if you were struggling because that would be seen as a sign of weakness or, you just wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, for me, because my parents split up when I was 13, we were exposed to lots of money arguments. I remember them having discussions about how to pay the rent. And because of that, I developed a bit of a scarcity mindset. Didn't know it at the time, but it sort of carried into my 20s where I was quite afraid of money. So whenever I got paid through work, I'd immediately spend it because that $0 bank account was almost normal for me and safe. And it's weird as humans, sometimes we like to replicate what's safe for us, even if it is perceived as a negative thing. So it's kind of like when people win the lotto, they spend it immediately because they're not used to having that money in their account.
Yeah.
So part of a money mindset is upgrading the belief that you deserve more and developing a positive relationship with it.
Yeah, I think I definitely had some work to do around finances. And during COVID, I really upped my self-education. My friend gave me the Barefoot Investor, which is a great place to start when you don't have a clue about the world of money and finances.
Did it just help you attribute more positive emotions to it and a sense of control?
Yeah, it was the control. I finally felt like I was in control of my money coming in, which is really exciting.
Those books are important because I remember in my 20s, very little finance literacy. And I got the credit card like everyone does.
Yeah.
And $2,000 debt quickly became $8,000 debt. And I was mid-20s with about $10,000 in debt without the income to service it. So that was the moment I had to really have a look at my mindset because obviously I was approaching this wrong. And ever since then, I've just been really passionate about money mindset because often it's not the actions that we take which make us more wealthy. It's the mental shifts we take. And it's actually very empowering because just a little change of mind can attract abundance and wealth into your life.
Do you remember last month when we thought we were millionaires just before Christmas?
So this is why we felt called to do this episode because you tell the story.
So after reading The Barefoot Investor, my friend and I decided we're going to invest. And we got a tip off about a stock, which we put some money into. Completely forgot about it until now when that same friend messaged me just before Christmas saying, have you seen how much it's gone up? And so I remember calling you straight from work being like, babe, I think we're really rich. Can you do the numbers on this? And it was a lot of money, wasn't it? Life-changing.
It was $600,000 that we thought we were up. But what was so fascinating was 1 minute normal, then the next minute, based on something we imagined, we felt so abundant and rich. And we were having these conversations about what should we do with our money.
That's a house deposit. We can go on a around the world trip.
I was ready to pack everything up and take this show on the road. But the reason we tell this story is because for that half a day, our mindset had completely shifted. We felt abundance and possibility and nothing in reality had actually changed. It was simply our imagination.
I just remember the feeling of being so free and everything was like rainbows and butterflies. And I was like, oh my God, this is what being a millionaire feels like.
But then it turns out we didn't have that much money.
So the world came crashing down when I actually found an email that I'd taken some of those stocks out and reinvested them in a different stock. So the shares I thought I had were probably a third of that. So not quite $600,000.
Nothing in our reality actually changed. We'd simply imagined this and flipped our mindset from being normal 1 minute to feeling so abundant and like we had all of these possibilities in the world. We felt rich.
Yeah.
And it was just a mindset shift. And I think about that. What if we tapped into that rich mindset every day?
Yeah.
you would just float through the day differently. You'd make decisions aligned with that. Sure, you might not be able to quit your job just yet, but embodying that extreme level of abundance would only attract more of it into your life.
And that's the power of money mindset. So in this episode, we're going to really unpack that and understand how you can create more abundance towards your finances.
And look at ways you can do this with your partner so that you are aligned. And when you have that harmony, you're more powerful and magnetic together.
So first, let's talk about the idea that money is energy. And I know to some people that sounds a bit hippy-dippy. I'll let you explain it properly.
Absolutely. So at first glance, and the way we were brought up, we're taught that money is a fixed thing. It's what's in your bank account, what's in your wallet, something tangible. But if you zoom out, money is at its purest form an exchange of energy. Think about it. You put time, effort, and skills into your work, which is all energy, and you receive a stored form of energy in the form of money. You then use that money to buy goods and services, essentially transferring that energy to someone else. Mm-hmm. There's a wonderful book that I recommend all of the time called Happy Money by Ken Honda.
Is that the one that you gave me?
Mm-hmm.
I need to read that.
Yeah, he explains this concept beautifully, like money is water. It flows through a town. It goes from the butcher to someone's house. And if you have too tight a grip on money, not only do you stop it going to the next person, but you stop it coming to you. So in that way, you've got to think of money as having this abundant flow through your life, which sounds a little bit hippy-dippy, but bear with us.
So how does the scarcity and abundant mindset come into this?
Scarcity mindset is when you operate from fear around money. You tend to believe that money is limited and act accordingly. Energetically, if you operate with fear, you tend to hold on to it tightly, afraid to spend it or invest it, and you don't trust that more will come in. People with a scarcity mindset might tend to hoard their money, which creates this stagnant energy, blocking the flow of more coming in.
I'm definitely a hoarder, aren't I?
Whereas an abundance mindset, this is where you trust that energy flows in and out. Mm-hmm. You interact with gratitude and openness. And in the book, Ken gives this wonderful example of, say you're buying coffee at the cafe, you tap your card and say thank you, because when you're grateful that money flows out, it will flow back to you.
Do you reckon the cashier would be like, sorry, what? What are you thankful for?
So the idea is that with an abundance mindset, you attract more opportunities and financial ease because you're allowing for a positive money flow.
Yeah, I'm definitely on my journey. I'm not quite there yet, got a tight hold, but I'm getting there, aren't I?
Yeah, so in our relationship, Zoe's usually the saver and I'm the spender.
Very frivolous, aren't Nick?
Yeah, and you're a little bit frugal sometimes.
Yeah, I am.
But we tend to spend on different things as well. For example,
Yeah.
I love spending on anything health related, whether it's organic veggies and food. I'm just more than happy to be grateful to spend that money and let that money flow. But for you, it's more...
I'm your typical basic girl, getting my hair done, going to the shops.
And this makes me think of Ramit Sethi, who he wrote a book, I'll Teach You How to Be Rich. And his idea is that you work out what your core values are and then you spend frivolously based on your values and you cut mercifully on what you don't value. So for me, because I value health and fitness, I spend on that and that makes me happy. But because I don't really value clothes or getting my nails done, I cut mercifully. I can't get that word, but I cut on those things.
Okay, sounds like I need to read old Ramit.
So a lot of couples run into problems when they have opposing money mindsets. In this episode, we want to break that down and explain some ways you can approach those conversations with your partner.
So what potential problems do couples face then if they are misaligned on their money?
There's potential for conflict because if one person's actively spending and the other person's trying to save, there's that misalignment which can cause conflict. Number two, there might be different risk tolerances where scarcity-focused partners may resist investing or taking financial risks, while abundant partners might see those as necessary options for growth. It might also create this unequal power dynamic where one person believes in financial freedom and the other person is more geared towards lack. And another one is guilt around spending. So say I like spending, you like saving. I might feel guilty for going out and spending some of our money on organic beetroots, which are pretty expensive. And I might end up hiding that from you because I feel guilty. I haven't done that, just for the record.
Right, I hid the chocolate from you, but that was a different reason. That was because you eat it all in one go.
Oh, yeah. What do you guys think of this? So we've just come off the cleanse, which we won't bore you with again, but Zoe decided to buy some Lindt chocolate.
No, it wasn't, guys. It was like 85% cacao dark chocolate, so barely any sugar in it, can I just add?
Whatever it was, she didn't share it with the house.
Well,
I went digging in the fridge to find something, and I found this block of chocolate that she'd hidden from me.
Under a few packets of things.
And you should have seen the look on her face.
So, it was literally like I was caught red-handed. But I'll tell you why, because I'm one of those people that I will have a chocolate block and that will last me the whole week. I'll have a square a night, just a little bit after food. You, however, as soon as you unwrap something, you have to eat it all in one go, get it out the house. And we've never come to agreement on that.
And I think this relates back to the episode, but that might be a scarcity mindset thing. You don't want to let it go because you're hoarding it. You're holding on to it too tight.
I am a hoarder.
Whereas I'm like, who gives a fuck if we've eaten the whole block of chocolate in one night because tomorrow we'll go get some more.
My teeth do.
Sure, but I don't think there's any harm in sharing the chocolate with me.
Yeah, lesson learned. I did better.
So what is the solution to all of this? It's pretty clear that talking from experience here, that these mismatches in money mindset have the potential to cause some problems. And we'll dive into some listener questions in a bit, but what are some solutions for people to work through these?
So I think it's a bit like love languages. You don't have to have the exact same mindset on it, but as long as you can understand where each other are coming from, find some compromise or middle ground, then, that's good enough.
Yeah, I guess introduce some open communication so that you shift away from conflict to collaboration. 2 C's.
It's all good saying these things, but we wanted to provide some practical steps as well to help you guys meet in the middle and start harmonizing.
Yeah, so the key is to nurture a positive relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
So if one person tends to lean towards scarcity and one towards abundance, you can learn to love and embrace each other's differences so that you can collectively attribute some positive emotions to money.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've dug up some exercises you can do with your partner. The first one is develop a shared vision. Okay, say we've got a saver and a spender. One way these guys could meet in the middle is by discussing their future goals. Say they want to buy a house in 10 years. It's okay if one's a saver and a spender, but if they reach an aligned expectation on how much money they need to put away each month, then they can be a little bit more forgiving of the other, as long as they're hitting that financial goal together.
So the other one, which I also learned from the Barefoot Investor, I feel like it's all I'm talking about, it's weekly money dates. And it doesn't have to be anything too formal. It's more of a sort of money check-in. You can do it over a coffee, a glass of wine, wherever you feel comfortable. But so it's check-ins about, your financial goals, your spending habits, any concerns in a very sort of non-judgmental, relaxed environment.
Yeah, and the third one I'd say is, if you are both focusing on lack, which is so understandable in today's economy, prices are high, rent is high, it's so easy to focus on what we don't have. But I would suggest, instead of focusing too heavily on what you don't have, consider ways that you can create value, whether it's doing a side project, focusing on a passion project, upskilling so that you're better placed for a promotion at work. How can you pour your energy into value creation rather than doomsdaying and swimming too much in that scarcity mindset?
Yeah.
And all of these things will help you attribute more positive emotions to money. You'll make money your mate. And when we do that energetically, we create space for more of it to come into our life.
So it's time for listener questions.
Yes, we have one here from Chris. Okay, so here's a money-related scenario I found myself in when I was younger. I started dating a girl, we liked each other, made it official, and months down the line, when it was too late, I found out she had a ridiculous amount of credit card debt as she couldn't service. She was only able to pay the monthly interest payments back. It gave me a massive ick, as I saw it as evidence that she was irresponsible with money. It impacted the relationship and we eventually broke up. What's the best way to handle this situation or avoid it altogether? Money is such a difficult topic to raise in the early days of dating. That's a very thoughtful question. I think money is difficult to talk about at the best of times, especially early on in dating, but it is important to bring it up to avoid surprises. I think in that scenario, you need context. Is the girl actively working on reducing the debt? Has she learned any lessons, or is she still doing the behaviors that's racking more and more debt up? Because if they are working on it, I think that's potentially a green flag that they've got a growth mindset. But if they're ignoring it and continuing the same patterns, potential red flag. So to get more context, I think bringing up the conversation as early as possible in a compassionate and a caring way, with curiosity and openness, is the way to go.
Next one's from G Fish, and they say, is it appropriate to respectfully ask a partner to change their money behavior or attitude, or should we accept them as they come? It's a great question, and I think it's totally acceptable to be able to ask your partner to change their money behavior, or at least open the conversation to it. But again, you need to approach it with sensitivity and an open mind, and I think understand why they're doing the behaviors they are. Money is a big part of a relationship, so if you don't align on that, then it could be a bit of an issue. I think the earlier you can tackle things and let them know that they can open up to you and you can sort of move from here together is really important.
How would you bring it up?
That's tough. I mean, like you said, there's never a good time, right? But I think just what's the saying? Bite the
bullet.
Yeah, bite. Bite. I think, like you said, there's never going to be a good time. So bite the bullet and just ask, sit down, have a conversation, go for a walk. Sometimes I find walks are easier because you're not sort of looking directly at the person. And just be really open and make sure it's coming from a place of love and caring, and say, I want to be aligned on this one. And I'd love to sort of open the conversation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Say something like, I'd love to be aligned on this in our future. Is this something you'd be willing to talk about?
Yeah. That's
a good segue, because this next part, we're going to ask you guys some questions, and these are all aimed at sparking money conversations with your partner.
Yeah, guys, grab a piece of paper. Actually do these because we did and found them really, really helpful.
Okay, so the first question is, what does money mean to you? This helps to identify your fundamental beliefs about money, opening up a deeper conversation about whether you see money as security, freedom, power, or something else. So the first one, what does money mean to you?
And number 2 is, what is your money story? So sit down and talk about how each of you were raised around money and if your beliefs were carried into adulthood.
That's a good one.
It's kind of deep, that one.
The third question is, how do you want money to make you feel? So this is inspired by Ken Honda's book, Happy Money. This question can shift the focus from the mechanics of money, earning, saving, spending, to the emotional aspect of money in the relationship. So let's go through those questions again. Number 1, what does money mean to you? Number 2, what is your money story? Number 3, how do you want money to make you feel?
So above all, I think the biggest takeaway from today is you don't need to have it all figured out. I mean, we certainly don't. We're still learning. But I think, as long as you're taking the steps to get there and start harmonizing together in a relationship, it will begin to transform how it shows up in your life.
Make money your mate. You're not scared of your mates. You don't run away from them as soon as they appear. You don't get rid of them out of your bank account. You love them and you want to spend time with them. And when you love your money, you're going to be able to make more empowered and confident investment decisions. You're going to do that side hustle that you're too scared to do, because now you're operating from a place of trust and abundance. And the universe will begin to mirror that.
Thank you for listening, guys.
We shall see you on the next one. I love you.
I love you.